Welcome, Solarah here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm back with more downloads. I took a day off recording and now I'm back to do a few more of them. I'm actually not going to get through the entirety of the list because so much of what has been coming up is to do with the 3-3 portal energies, and it's been coming through the other readings. So I don't know how many more of these I'll do. We'll see. We'll see what comes through with this message. But I want to welcome you here. Welcome if you're visiting for the first time. If you are in alignment with my energy, my frequency, and if you're in alignment, you'll actually, there will be no kickback against what it is I'm saying. Okay, that's one way you can know you're in alignment. If you don't like me, if you don't like my message, that's fine. You don't have to, but you also have the free will choice to click off. So please exercise your own autonomy instead of coming on other people's platforms and demanding that they change for you. That's narcissistic behavior. No one's here to change for you. Go where you belong and attract the energy that is in alignment with who you are based upon being yourself authentically. Okay? And this is an important thing for all of us to be aware of as we continue to rise through this ascension. It's becoming increasingly important that we honor who we are in our authenticity and we stop trying to get other beings to be who they're not. We accept people for who they are, and if we don't like them, we move away. If we don't like what they're bringing into our energy, we exercise our authority over self to move away. It's important in order to continue to climb in the truth of our own frequency. Okay, welcome if you're returning. Welcome if you have subscribed to the channel. Welcome if you've been here from day one or you joined somewhere along the way and you've been vibing with me up until this point. I really do appreciate your being here. Yes, there are a few more placements still for my Tarotstrology Q&A coming up this Sunday, March the 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In that time together, it's a small group. In that time together, we will delve into one of your astrology placements where I will channel the messages, look at the astrology, the numerology, and see what comes through in terms of who you are cosmologically, your soul's purpose, contracts, whatever wants to come through. That's what I do through Tarotstrology personal reports, and I'm opening up Tarotstrology Q&A so that you all have the opportunity to be able to, even if you just want to know one placement, be able to have access to that. So this first Q&A is about that. You can register through my Ko-Fi. I will leave the link for that in the description box below and in the comment section. And once you have registered, please make sure to drop me an email with your birth chart or with your date, location, and time of birth. And please know that I do not hold on to that information. I do not open it before the time we meet, and nobody else will have access to it, even within the group. So as far as privacy concerns are, I'm very particular about stuff like that. As I explained in other videos, it is an energetic violation, as far as I'm concerned, to delve into someone's astrology without their consent. Even if they've given you prior consent, it's wrong. And on another, as a channel, I can't keep all those doors open and do what I do. So I just want you to know how it is that I work, okay? So to get into the message, I was falling asleep and all of a sudden I was jolted out of my sleep and I heard, "It will happen in the blink of an eye. It will happen in the blink of an eye. And reality as you know it will never be the same. It will happen in the blink of an eye, and reality as you know it will never be the same." And as I woke up to write this down in my book, I heard rapid changes are coming. Rapid changes. And I do believe that has something to do with the most recent energy window, that if this message is resonating with you, if it's bringing confirmation to what it is you've already been picking up in your own reality, I do think it has a lot to do with how you handled the most recent densities. Okay, so I spoke about this in a few other videos that I did since the 3-3 portal, about how we've been in this really interesting and heavy energy window between, I want to say, Scorpio season for sure, and for some even earlier in Libra seasons. Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius season would be around the time when things began to get a little bit sticky. Let's put it that way, energetically speaking. A lot of repetition of cycles. What I need you to understand and overstand is that when you are breaking out of the matrix, you are breaking out of layers of spell work. Okay, layers of energy work, whatever you want to call it, layers of trauma loops and cycles that you've been stuck repeating unconsciously. And so at every level, you will be, when you're getting ready to break out of another energy, you will be presented with the same energy or cycle that got you stuck to begin with. It shows you that the loop has come around full circle, and either you're going to accept the terms and the conditions of being put back into the loop by believing that the loop is your reality and it's greater than you, or you're going to fight against it by standing in your truth and saying, fuck you, I see what you're doing, it's another loop, I'm breaking out of it this time. I'm not succumbing to the lies and the deceptions I have to believe in order to stay in the loop. I know who I am. And then you graduate into the next loop that you have to break out of now. What it feels like is what we were going through Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius season. It feels like a grand, like a really big overarching energy that was at the root or at the top of many looping cycles you've been through, which is why you may have been going through weeks or months of repeating energies, even repeating scenarios and situations that came back around. And this time around, you handled them differently. You stood in your power. You stood in your truth. Even when you felt downcast by it, you still knew that it would pass. And when you stand in that truth, when you stand in that power and that knowing, that gnosis, that you are living in a simulation and you're being played another kind of possibility that you can align to or not, that's how you bust free. Okay, so this message is going to be, if you've been resonating with the messages I've been channeling about that very dense return of a cycle that kind of entered around fall period of last year, and there's something about this 3-3 portal that has kind of pushed you through another gate. Another message that was coming through: you do not belong here anymore. And the truth of the matter is, you never did. Many of you have never been able to do well in the matrix because you could not come into alignment with the energies that were necessary for you to thrive in the matrix. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. That means that actually you just were not able to succumb to the system. Okay, so as you break out of these cycles, what is actually going to also start to happen is you're going to start to feel more comfortable in who you are, comfortable in being on the earth again. As you break out of these spells that try to keep you in trauma loops, because the trauma loops are designed to keep you feeling downtrodden, downcast, because for as long as you are succumbing to that energy, you're not tuning into who you actually are. And who you actually are, and the truth of it is, you are bigger than the matrix spells. You are bigger than anything that anyone outside of you can try to throw your way. And the only way that you can get someone else can get power over you in your reality is if you succumb to their lie. If you believe that they are more powerful or something is more powerful than you because you're not believing in your truth. Because the truth of the matter is nobody has more power over you and your reality than you. But you haven't been, none of us have been knowing that and walking in the fullness of the agency of that. We've been under all of these illusions where we've been called to be things that we're not in order to fit in order to survive. And even when we did that, we still struggled. So this is a message for a person who is beginning to feel finally more in your own energy, more at home in yourself. And if you're feeling that, then get ready, because the message that was coming through is something's going to happen in the blink of an eye. And bear in mind also that this is the energy that we're dealing with on a collective level. Whenever you see these themes come up in readings, you can know that there's a collective energy that supports it. What you tune into as an individual vessel will determine how far you go in that energy. Okay, so the reason I say that is because we are, this is Wednesday, March the 6th, I'm recording. We're 4 days out from the new moon in Pisces. It's a new moon in Pisces. It's occurring at 20 degrees, which is a degree of judgment, which is a degree of death and rebirth, and a new cycle wanting to be birthed as an old one closes out. That's a 20-degree mark, right? Because it's connected to the judgment card, but it's also astrologically a degree of Scorpio. So the 20 as a number connects us to this birth, death, rebirth, transformation, access to heaven and hell, because that's a scorpionic energy, access to all the gates. That's what the 20 energy connects us to through the astrological alliance with Scorpio and the tarot connection to the judgment card. Okay? But at the end of the day, it's always going to come down to what you're doing with these energies. So there are people who are still running around listening to tarot, waiting for so-called judgment to come. I did a whole video on this. It was an Ascension Truth Talk I did last September. It was called, it was about karmic justice. If I remember, I'll link it below. But the truth of the matter is, it's not enough to sit down and listen to something that a tarot reader says is going to come for you if you're not taking the personal agency and it's not in alignment with the true prophecy that you are living in and aligned to. It's not enough to sit down and wait for something and expect it to come when you haven't aligned with the frequency. So all of these situations are here to help you collapse the densities that had your frequency on lock. And for as long as you have been combating the lies with your truth and who you are truthfully, cosmologically, your real power and your real sense of authority and autonomy over self, meaning that you have been declaring and knowing and walking in the truth, that even if in your material reality things are presenting themselves as if something is greater than you, you know it's not. And the more that you continue to stand in that, the more those densities have to collapse and open the door for your truth to materialize, because your frequency is based upon what you think and feel about who you are. It's not based upon what Sally or Roger think unless you are in alignment with their thoughts about you too. And this is where the Matrix tried to fuck us up with all of its social agendas and then its quantum entanglement spells. It was trying to constantly get us to be something to someone else or for someone else instead of being everything to self. When you're everything to self, you are living in the fullness of your frequency. When you're living in the fullness of your frequency, you don't have to pull on other people's frequencies. You don't have to look to someone else for validation of who you are. You know who you are. Okay? So this is a reading for someone who is honestly at that place or on the way there, as opposed to someone who is sitting down waiting because a tarot reader has said it's happening for it to drop into your lap. It's not how it works. We have been breaking lifetimes eons of spells and magic that were designed to take us and keep us out of our truth. It's a layer by layer, and you must take personal authority and action upon the messages that you hear to clear the densities for yourself. Okay? So this message is coming through because now it's saying it will happen in the blink of an eye. Reality, as you know, it will never be the same. Rapid changes are coming, which means that you have ascended through the cycle, or the big loop that was meant to get you stuck again, disempowered. Okay, and because the time is up, a lot of the time these things are connected to cycle seasons, gates, portals, timelines. Because the time is up in which you could be sucked into that. Now what you're going to experience is rapid movement forward. Because just like that Demi Peachel of Starfire Codes calls them fuck loops, and it's just like the perfect name for it. Just like those fuck loop, that big ass fuck loop that opened up, that you had to navigate your way through last fall up until this time, just like it slowed you down. This one, for as long as you overcame and broke yourself out of that loop by standing in who you are and refusing to succumb to the lower energies that wanted to take you under, now you're going to start moving forward again rapidly until the next density hits. This is how we go. Energy works in cycles. And at every turn, as the days pass, as the weeks pass, the months pass, as the moons, the sun, the planets make their orbit, they are affecting your ability to connect with certain cycles or the breaking of cycles. Energy is cyclical. It's always coming back around. But it's up to us to break out at every level and choose where we want to go. It's not anyone else's responsibility, right? So I felt like I needed to bring that memo again. Okay. For some of you, this is an energy that returned in this most recent cycle. It returned even though you have no proximity to it, meaning that you may have gotten away from the situation, the person, the location, and thought that because you'd done that you were like scot-free. But sometimes that's not the case, which is why you had to purge the energy from yourself. Okay, because that's where it was causing an issue to begin with. It was in your energy field. Okay, now other people externally, locations, there were connections to it. You may have broken the connection to those things when you moved away. And now what you've been doing through this period is clearing the gunk out of your energy field. Hostilities wanted to come out, adjacent possibility, financial constraints, and blossoming abundance. So that was speaking about if you've been stuck financially. It doesn't just have to be financially. Understand and overstand that your finances are a reflection of the flow of your life force. So if you've been stuck in that area, it can be finances, it can be health. It can be creativity. It can be so many things, right? There are new avenues. There are new avenues opening up with that adjacent possibilities card coming out. And with the hostilities, there's something being removed, okay? And the hostilities card, I'm feeling like it's something to do with these matrix spells that you've been breaking yourself out of. Some of them are, a lot of them, not some of them, a lot of them are not new spells. A lot of them are kind of on, what would you call it? Like a time, I can't think of the word right now, but it's when something just continues to come back around, it's reactivated. Some of these spells were continually being reactivated because the contracts surrounding them had to do with your ability to break free by tuning into your own truth and power. And every time you chose not to do that, not just in this lifetime, across lifetimes, you got yourself more stuck. Okay? Which is why for many of you, the spells that you've been dealing with in this lifetime, with covens, orders, people targeting you, it didn't take much to stymie you, because you already came into this incarnation with a lot of containment energies that had been cast against you. And there's, on the one hand, there's because of, denying and betraying self repeatedly throughout lifetimes. But then on the other hand, as I've also spoken to you guys about before, it's also a galactic history thing. When you enter into this planet or re-enter into it, you are placed very specifically in bloodlines that are designed to contain you. Designed based upon the entities that are at play and have been running those lines. So for many of you, you've been hit from all angles, which is why it's constantly feeling like you break through one density and you have to get to the next. But if this is you also, you know that that's the case. You know that that's the case, which is what keeps you persevering. Because you've been shown, you've seen that you're breaking out of a layered situation. And it's probably why you're here on my channel anyway. Because this is what I'm here to kind of to speak on and to help us all navigate through. Because many of us, especially high frequency beings, very high frequency beings, that's what they had to do to keep you on lock, because of what you meant in this ascension, because of what your waking up means for the speeding up of this ascension. So here we have that energy again, speeding up. This isn't only to do with your personal life and timelines. This is to do with the fact that as you wake up and you begin to speed up your own personal timelines based upon your trueness to self and your unwillingness to step out of your step off your throne, to abdicate your portal of power, abdicate command and mastery over the wholeness of your energy field and all of your gates, because you're a gateway system, right? I've talked about this in other readings. You're a gateway system. And what the matrix does at every turn is it blocks your gates. It puts them under contracts with their lower ranking entities that you stay connected to for as long as you are connected to that energy and allowing it to rule over you instead of taking authority back over self. Now, when you take back authority over self, you start to push out all of those entities that have blocked your gates, and you begin to connect cosmically and cosmologically to the gates within the ethers that pull in everything you need to know about yourself, and therefore everything you need to know to consistently get out. It's the realignment of your gates. And here's the thing, because you're dealing with your own individual energy field, which is a gateway system, the earth is also full of gates and ports. This is what dates like the 3-3 portal are about. It's the activation of certain energetic gateways. As you align and connect with your own gates, you are also helping Mama Earth to ascend more rapidly, because her gates are coming back into realignment also through you. I hope that makes sense. If this is your message, it will. Okay, so this is interesting because, like, I've been writing about some of what I'm about to share with you. That's come out in the cards this week on 1313. Amazing! And look what came out: Goddess of the Moon in the guidance position. 1313, 13 moons, 13 moon cycles every year, right? 13 is a number of the divine feminine because of that. I've been writing about some of these energies that I'm about to get into with you guys through the cards that came out on my Substack, right? So for those of you who are patrons on my Substack, you would have received a planetary, how to work planetarily with the moon on Monday. I did a report on working with planetary energies, and this is the second planetary energy report I've done. And the first one was working with Venusian energies, and this is working with the lunar energies. So I just literally published that for my patrons on Substack on Monday. And yesterday on my Daily Alchemy, which I posted an audio message here also on YouTube on my other channel that's just for those messages, called Daily Alchemy with Solarah. Some of these energies were coming through also. So let's get into it, because very interestingly enough, we have the one card in this deck that speaks of gates. We have the garden and the gate. And you see, gardens, this card speaks about the things that appear to be some way on one side of an equation that will keep you from going out and exploring what's beyond because of the appearance, or because of the comfort factor. Okay, but if you don't go past the gate and out of the garden that you've come to know, then you don't get to discover what is truly out there. That's kind of the generic meaning of this card. And funnily enough, it's a 30, which is a 3. And we just had the 3-3 portal, right? So this again is speaking to me about gates. But what is it speaking about, and what does it have to do with the messages that were coming through for me that I wrote on Substack? Well, we have broken heart, which is in the overarching energy position, because 3 cards came out. We have challenge. In the challenge position, we have a thinking woman. Okay? And then I already showed you in the guidance position, we have the goddess of the moon. Now, the broken heart energy is also a 9, which speaks of, it speaks of those things we go through alone. I don't know why it won't. There we go. You can see the 9. It speaks of those situations that we have to go through alone. It speaks of loneliness, doing things by self. It's connected to the hermit energy in the tarot, which is Virgo, right? But 9 is also the end of a cycle, because when you get to the 10, that's the simultaneous beginning and end. And so for many of you, you have closed out heartbreak, unnecessary heartbreak trauma loops. And what do I mean by that? This is what I was writing about on Daily Alchemy yesterday, because I've been getting a lot, even before I sat down here today, the 2 of Cups just flew out. And I wasn't in cards, it just landed on my floor and I picked it up. It was a 2 of Cups. This divine counterpart energy has been coming through a lot with these 3-3 portal energies. And there's a few reasons I feel like that's happening. For one thing, and I never spoke about this, I meant to, the new moon in Pisces. Pisces energy gives you the ability to walk out for good. Okay, it's why the minor arcana cards of Pisces are the 8, 9, and 10 of Cups. The 8 of Cups is walking away. The 9 of Cups is arriving at self-fulfillment because you've walked away. And the 10 of Cups is the fruit you bring forth with others because you're now living in a position of self-fulfillment, self-sufficiency, self-agency. You've recovered yourself. You've recovered your emotional energy that has been lost in the trauma loops of the matrix that have fragmented you. Through the Piscean energy, it's the gateway that takes you back to your innocence. It returns you back to your divine state. And it does that every year. So every year you can get through the Pisces, and every month really through the lunar cycle. But every year when the sun enters into Pisces, it's a grand opportunity to go higher in your truth. Okay? Because remember, the cycles are here to support you. And because we're in ascension, these energies have been like on steroids. Like they're really trying to help you get the fuck out of your own way and back onto your own throne over self. Now, Pisces energy is also connected to your feet. Biologically speaking, Pisces is the energy that allows you to take everything from the previous zodiac signs and walk in it. Walk it. And when you walk it, then you're coming into alignment with the Aries energy, which is your sovereign truth, your sovereignty. You're coming into full alignment with the Aries energy again, and you're taking that, you're walking in your I am truth. And it's the walking and the reclamation of your I am truth that busts you out of every cycle of the matrix. At every level, when you choose to connect with another aspect of your I am truth, who you truly are, you bust through another one of the spells and the false personas and identities the matrix needed you stuck to in order to keep you stuck running through the trauma loops that opened you up to energy harvesting. Now, I spoke about this in Daily Alchemy, about how this divine counterpart energy feels like it's coming around for many of you because you're finally at a frequency where you can sustain a divine union. Now, in the twin flame, and y'all know I don't care for that label, but in the twin flame community, because that's what people know, right? The twin flame community, there's always this talk about the runner chaser dynamic. And the runner chaser dynamic on an energetic or frequential level, it occurs when you are able to, when you meet that person, and this is like, maybe you haven't met them, but let's just say you have. If you've met a divine counterpart, you know what that energy does to your soul. You know the remembrance that comes. You know what it does to your heart. You know the sudden like connection, ping moment that you have with them, right? And that moment when you begin to feel something so intense, that's your frequency suddenly rising. It's your frequency suddenly rising to meet the energy of somebody who you're supposed to have a high frequency relationship with. And then you walk away from that situation and you start to have doubts. He's too old for me, or she's too old for me. She or he is too young for me. She or he is too fine for me. She or he is too rich for me. She or he is too established. It's always there too something for you, right? And then we reduce our own frequency, especially the divine feminine, the one who holds the more divine feminine energy, because the divine feminine energy is what pulls the union into place, because divine feminine energy is magnetic. So the divine feminine energy for both partners is what ultimately pulls in the union. So when you, especially as a divine feminine, this is why in like heterosexual divine counterpart scenarios, it's the female oftentimes that is the chaser, because when you only will start to chase something when you're not walking in your divine feminine truth. Because your divine feminine is magnetic energy. Everything you need comes to you when you're in alignment, including your divine counterpart. So what we do is we fall into self-rejection, shame a lot of the time, believing that we can't have it, so we have to go after it. And that frequency disturbs the purity of the frequency that divine counterparts are supposed to have as high frequency partnerships. So because we've lowered the frequency, we can't get back to that place and stabilize it without collapsing all the densities that have kept us from that height to begin with. And all those densities will always have to be do with the things that we're holding on to that are contrary to our truth. In other words, divine counterpart situations are designed for you in your true frequency, meaning being who you are authentically, no longer ascribing to doing things, being things, following things in order to fit in or be accepted. The most important thing is your own sense of self-acceptance. And when you become so loyal to self and you come back into that self-sufficiency energy, you no longer have the capacity to break your own heart. And therefore nobody else does either. I hope that makes sense, because it's it's not necessarily, it's very far out from conventional wisdom around love and the traditions that have been created. But the traditions that have been created around conventional wisdom have perpetuated karmic loops and cycles, because that's how the Matrix needed us. The Matrix needed us to be able to see the possibility of love, but call it a fairy tale, and to aspire for that, because in our hearts we know it to be true, and to never get there because we get stuck in the loop that keeps us out from the frequency we need to get to in order to access that love and sustain it. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So some of you have gotten to a place where you're so true to self that you've stopped breaking your own heart. The Matrix needed you to constantly and consistently betray yourself, break your own heart, and stay in traumatic cycles, harming yourself in order to keep you stuck. Once you stop minimizing yourself, diminishing yourself, changing yourself for other beings, not being who you are at full strength, once you no longer tolerate, once you decide that how you feel is more important than how somebody else needs you to be for them, which is codependency and narcissism, because we're not here to change people, we're here to love them as they are and as they evolve and grow. Once you begin to no longer tolerate that shit, which is all Matrix programming, then you stop betraying self, you stop rejecting self, you stop breaking your own heart. And when you stop breaking your own heart, you exit another layer of the heartbreak, trauma loops and cycles that kept you ultimately out of love. Okay, and again, this also, spells and projections were added to increase and magnify this in your reality. That's absolutely true. And even so, you still have to make the choice that you're bigger than that in order to break it in the first place. The challenge position is the thinking woman. So this is, again, this is the female energy of the thinker in this deck. In the challenge position, this is all the ways we talk ourselves out of our own frequency and therefore push away the very thing that we want. And this is showing me, because of the energies we're dealing with, that you have or are learning how to utilize your mind to think yourself out of the Matrix programs and to think yourself into your truth. And sometimes it really be as complex as that. Like, you have to, there are times where you have to combat the lie with the truth by stating it again and again internally, because we've all been so magnanimously deprogrammed. We have to reprogram ourselves through repetition. So, take that as it resonates. There's so many ways this can come into play. And this isn't only to do with love. This is in all things. For example, you are completely capable of healing yourself. Okay? You are. But if you're not fully confident in that, then you're not going to do it. Okay? And this is not me saying you shouldn't utilize other forms of medicine. You must always do what is right for you at every given time. For some people, choosing to try and heal themselves is actually wrong for them, because it's something that they feel bullied into by spirituality, and therefore they are actually rejecting self. And the choice to go and see a doctor that they align with is actually a choice that puts them higher in their own frequency than it is for them to sit down in fear trying to heal themselves, if that makes sense. So frequency is very personal, based upon where you are on your journey and what best serves you where you are to eliminate your own fears around moving forward. We're already 40 minutes in. I've got to get going. Goddess of the Moon is the guidance. this speaks to me. Well, first and foremost, it's connecting to the new moon that's coming up, which I do believe is putting many back into alignment with their true contracts for as long as we're willing to rise into our own frequency, which is what is first necessary. Those energies are there to assist us, but they're not here to do it for us, right? So this new moon in Pisces is opening up the energy gates for beings who are ready to come back into alignment with their contracts based upon the reconnection of, or the based to do with their ability to master their own magnetism. Okay, and again, the mastering of the magnetism is the reclamation of the divine feminine energy and wisdom, meaning that the divine feminine energy and wisdom is tuned into self. It follows intuition, it follows its own natural rhythms, it does everything it can to promote the alignment of staying in frequency, in your true frequency. That's what the divine feminine energy is here to do. And then the divine masculine energy is here to protect our ability to do that, and then to take that ability out and circulate it. And that's to do with your own masculine and feminine energy. But because we've been living so out of order, out of balance, we've been living through a lot of masculine distorted energy and feminine distorted energy, meaning that the feminine energy has been used to manipulate situations, because feminine energy is very powerful to manipulate situations because it's connected to emotion and magnetism, but that's not how it's supposed to be used. And when we do that, we are actually saying, I don't know how to get something in my own power, so I have to manipulate other beings in order to get that need or something else met. And that's not how you were designed to be, because when you are magnetic, you have the ability to call in anything that's in alignment with your truth and that you truly desire and need in alignment with who you are divinely. For as long as you're standing in that and owning that, you don't need to manipulate anyone. Right? So that's the toxicity of the feminine energy that's been used against us. And the toxicity of the masculine is that we've been constantly taught to go against the seasons and the cycles that promote our own fertility in all ways, on the earth planes, health-wise, literal fertility. That's what we've been taught by the Matrix on purpose to keep us out of balance. And there's something about, being so true right now to your own intuition and your own internal guidance and where it's taking you, and following your own natural rhythm and what that means, as opposed to the schedules, the expectations, the deadlines that other energies externally want to place upon you in order to get you to change and to line up with their reality instead of securing your own. So I'm saying all of this because as you're able to do this, as you're able to continue to just trust yourself, follow your own guidance. If you need to rest, rest. If you need to take a day off, that's what you do. Following whatever guidance is coming through that puts you in a place of connecting higher with your frequency and feeling safe in yourself. That is the energy that is also bringing forth something that's going to be occurring in the blink of an eye. And again, this energy is personal, but it's also collective. Meaning that as you do this, there might very well be something that is happening in the collective energies. I never 1333 on my clock, as I say that. I'm not a person who likes to chase these things like they talk about them a lot, the golden, the flash. I don't doubt that it can happen. Not at all. The love flash or whatever it's called. I don't doubt that it can happen. But I'm not here every day telling people that's where we're headed or that's where we're going, because when that becomes your point of focus, then you actually are losing, you're also disempowering yourself. And I don't want to really go into to how or why that is. I mean, for some of you, just my saying that, it will be obvious what I mean. But the truth of the matter is you're not here to chase. And if something like that is going to happen, where there's suddenly a switch in the frequential truth of the earth that is so magnanimous that it's like everything changes in a blink, if something like that were to happen, it would be because of what you're doing on an individual level in terms of stabilizing your own frequency and getting in your own power. It will have nothing to do with following people who tell you every day, do you feel like it's coming? And, oh, the sun is, and there's nothing wrong with getting updates like that. It's not, especially at a certain level. But when you want to get to that level of reacclimating with your own golden flash energies, because it will happen in your reality before it happens collectively, and that's where many of these beings actually try to lead people astray to make it a collective thing, when really it will happen collectively as you lean into it in self. It comes first on a personal level. At the bottom of the deck, Queen of Swords. Speak your motherfucking truth. Speak it. I haven't always been a person who's been incredibly vocal, because at every turn when I tried to speak my truth, I would meet opposition and I'd crawl back into my shell because I have a lot of Cancer energy and go and feel bad for myself, right? Lick my wounds. And then, I was silenced over time through many instances like that. And now I realize that repression actually causes buildup of stagnant energies that affect the flow of my energy field and therefore my health on all planes. And so I don't fuck around anymore. If somebody comes into my energy and tries to play these games where they try to put their shit onto me, I no longer sit down and take it and turn the other cheek, or I'm not the bigger person anymore. That's bullshit. Those are all matrix statements that are given to us in order to get us to be comfortable with being abused. Because for the energy harvesting cycles of the matrix to work, it needed abusers and those who were willing to take the abuse. It needed a bully culture. It needed beings who were willing to dominate others and to feel like they're bigger because they can do that. And it needed other beings to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't. I've got to cower in the corner because I'm scared of the big bad wolf person. It needed that narrative. So fuck those people who try to come into your energy to try to big bad wolf you. You give them back their shit and you tell them about who they are. Okay? Or you block them, or you do whatever it is you have to do. But what you don't do is you don't cower anymore and not speak your truth, because energy exchanges are real. What people are doing when they come into your fields and they're trying to put their shit into your reality, whether it is that they're trying to get you to be quiet, or to not be confident about what you've said, or they're trying to get you to change what you said or to align with how they think. When people do that, it's an energy exchange. And when you don't say anything, you're succumbing to them commanding you, commanding your voice, commanding you on the mental planes in some way, shape, or form. And when you stand up and say, go fuck yourself, or whatever it is you have to say, leave me the fuck alone, I'm blocking you, whatever it is you have to do to stand in your truth, you are taking back authority over your story on the mental planes, and nobody's able to pull your strings. Nobody's able to get you to transmute their wounding on their behalf with that karmic transference that occurs through those energy exchanges too. No one is able to get you to dilute your own voice and power, which takes you out of your true frequency. All of these things were designed to fuck with you. You're not here to turn the other cheek or be the bigger person. You're here to, if somebody says or does something that bothers you, then you articulate that fact and that truth until the energy shifts, because it doesn't belong to you. There's a whole bunch of people running around with no emotional awareness who love to come to other people and try to get them to transmute their emotional wounds and emotional densities for them. Go fuck yourself. That's what you can tell them. Or you don't have to tell them. You can think that, and then you can tell them politely, I'm not here to hold that. I won't succumb to the way you want me to think, be, perform, act. No, I don't exist for your pleasure. I exist for my own and for source. I don't exist for any other being and their pleasure. The Matrix had us all playing the game like we're here to exist for what other people need. Unless you're in the bully position, then everyone else is here to kowtow to you. Fuck that. Those days are over. And through the strong Piscean energy, those narratives and energies will come up strong, because the Piscean energy is very much connected to self-sacrifice and martyrdom. It is how the Matrix was able to sustain and root their sacrifice, narcissistic templates that further bolstered up their energy harvesting techniques. No more. We're not here to change ourselves because other beings don't know how to regulate their own frequency. No more. That's the Queen of fucking Swords. She takes no fucking prisoners. She's been around the block. She's been victimized. She's shut up and taken it. And now she says, fuck you, I'm too wise for that. You're not stealing my power with these subtle energy tricks. No, ma'am. Six of Swords. This is that getting the fuck out of Dodge card. Right? But swords will always have to do with the negotiation of your power. And sixes are connected to the Lovers, which has to do with the accessing divine contracts. So the Six of Swords is moving away from energies that are hell-bent on diminishing you. And you do that every time you speak your truth and you walk in your truth. And not for nothing. This Queen of Swords energy first came out in a reading I did the 1st of January 2023. And she started to show up to me as an emissary, an ambassador to us, to help us give back our power. She's no longer your ambassador because you have risen into the place where you no longer need her to be your ambassador, because you have reclaimed your voice and your power. So this is also like a graduating energy for those of you who've been with me since then, or since that the Queen of Swords energy began to show up in my readings like that. This is what it's about too. Okay? At a certain point, all of your guides, your multidimensional, which are really multidimensional aspects of yourself, in all frankness, all of your guides at some point will start to get quiet or not be so clear in your life when it's time for you to graduate into doing the thing that they've been helping you to achieve. Your guides are here to help you unlock yourself back into your own power. And they will help you do that at times by doing things for you in order to help you become confident enough to learn to do it for yourself, because it's always been in you. But those matrix programs are so dense and so heavy that you need that extra help to get you through to that the gate of faith and hope in self again. Right? The faith and hope in who you truly are and what you're truly capable of. That's what your guides are here to help you get to. So they will sometimes do things for you and you think, oh my gosh, my guides are amazing, they're super nice. But they're actually just showing you what you're capable of doing. And at a certain level, they might stop doing those things for you because it's time for you to assert yourself in that power now too. So again, this is a reading that's showing me that some of you have you no longer have the need for some of the things your guides were once doing for you, because now you know how to do them for yourself. You've recovered that in you. And you've done it and you're doing it as you move away from everything and anything that tries to diminish you in your truth and your power. That's the Six of Swords. Seven of Cups is the Scorpio energy. A lot of fixed energy coming out here. We have Aquarius and Scorpio. Second decan of Aquarius, third decan of Scorpio. And the Seven of Cups is the energy of the world becoming your oyster, everything opening up for you, right? And it's the integrating energy that allows for that to occur. That's the integrating energy that allows for everything to open up for you. And while you're going through that integration process, everything feels confusing. But it's only because so much is getting ready to open up for you, for as long as you don't fall under the cloud of confusion and you allow the energy to be integrated based upon your ability to go with your own unique sense of flow. Following your own unique sense of flow is what gets you to the gates. What gets you through the gates is following what it is you need and learning how to, at every turn again, say yes to yourself and stop betraying and rejecting your own internal guidance, and to start trusting that you're safe in your own hands. What you're not seeing, or you need to see, we got the King of Cups here. We got the Queen of Swords and the King of Cups. This is my card of emotional mastery. The kings are the masters of the suit. The King of Cups is emotional mastery. The emotional mastery energy is that ability to know when something is yours and when something belongs to someone else. It's the ability to take ownership for your shit and to give things back to people, to give things back that aren't yours, in order to be in integrity and to be in your frequency. So this is the thing. Energy harvesters are not, they have to harvest because they don't know how to get to their own frequency. They've lost that ability. So I say to people all the time, it's like, why would a divine being, a true divine being, want to harvest anyone? Because it would mean, this is what it would mean, if you harvest anyone as a divine being, it means you have to give away part of your power and swap it for theirs. Fuck that. I don't want your shit. I'm very happy with my own because I know who I am. So, but that's a level of emotional mastery that you have to get to, where at every turn, and mastery isn't perfection, it's just awareness. At every turn, you're learning how to see what is yours, to truly take ownership of and to deal with self. Radical honesty, right? Versus what belongs to other beings, not because you're trying to project or scapegoat, but because that shit truly belongs to them. And for as long as it's in your field, it's taking you out of your frequency. But here's the thing that not many people talk about also. When you are scapegoating someone else and projecting things onto other people, which is a form of energy harvesting, when you're doing that, you also are taking yourself out of your own frequency. Which is why it's never a good idea to try to pass the buck and not take responsibility for the things you've done, or the things, for anything that belongs to you. Good or bad. So these people, a lot of these people running around trying to project their shit, thinking that somehow they're hashtag winning or ascending, and they haven't gotten emotional mastery, they're going to continue staying in the cycle until they learn how to stop putting their shit on other people wrongfully. Queen of Coins. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, bitches, yes. The Queen of Coins is the Queen of fucking Pentacles. This is gold. Golden energy, golden codes, activated, released. This is another thing I feel coming through this new moon in Pisces. What's helping you to, what's moving you forward in the blink of an eye is the golden energy. It's the golden energy. It's your golden ratio. Your golden ratio alignments, true golden ratio alignments coming back. And I can't go too deep into that either because I've got to go. But you'll know what I mean. Like, there's a golden mean, a golden standard, a golden ratio that has nothing to do with the metal. Nothing. This is where the Matrix tried to fuck us over again, to get us focusing on the metal instead of focusing on the frequency. Some of y'all getting ready to tap into your true golden frequencies, and that's what these assholes had you under energetic lockdown, trying to get their paws in all the time. That's what these asshole doppelgangers were selling you out for, to cloak themselves in your golden frequency. No more of that, because you were giving it away by not claiming it, which is a whole other. I've talked about it before, and you give it away when you choose not to stand in your power and your truth and know who you are. Because part of who you are, your I am truth, is connected to that frequency, is connected to that standard. And when you're constantly denying and rejecting self, you're constantly denying and rejecting those parts that come with that too. Okay, so we're 1 hour in, and I've got to go. For all information on how to work with me, you can check out my website, solarah.info. If you'd like to join me over on Substack, the information for that will be in the description box and the comment section below. If you would like to donate to the channel or my growth and my ability to bring these messages for you, then I invite you to do so through my Ko-Fi or my PayPal, and that information will also be in the description box and comment section below. But this is where I'm going to bid you adieu. Until next time, I send you so much love, joy, peace, every beautiful thing under the sun that is rightfully yours. And you unlock for as long as you choose to walk in your highest state of alignment. I'll see you again. Take care.